Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Stanley, CEO of Fictionary, and I am here today again with an author who has edited her book in Fictionary Storyteller, and it's now published. And what I want to do is share that with you. And this is Shirley Arnham with me today, and this is her book, The Enigmatic Door. So I just want to read a little bit about who Shirley is before we get going. So Shirley always enjoyed writing and flirted with fan fiction over the years. Once retired from a career in accountancy, she thought, what now? With plenty of stories in her head, why not try her hand at writing a book? Shirley lives in Norfolk, England, and is looking forward to traveling the world with her husband. The Enigmatic Door is her first published novel and is the first in the Outlaw Detective series. So here it is. It's up on Amazon. You can click there, just search for the book. If you want to buy it, please do. And if you do, please leave a review. So Shirley, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, there's not really an awful lot more to say than what I've written in the book. I mean, I was an accountant for a long time, and I retired I've been getting on for 3 years now.
Okay,
and I'd always enjoyed writing, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go and see what happens. And I have to say, I've enjoyed the whole process of finding out what you have to do and all that, not just in terms of writing, but also in terms of self-publishing and everything.
Yeah. So why don't you tell me about what the book is about? And we'll start with that. Okay.
Well, it's a murder mystery. It's a bit hard to classify in terms of genre, although I've put it in the cozy category, only because it meets quite a lot of the criteria, but it also doesn't meet some. It also doesn't meet some of them. But there's so in terms of cozy, there's no blood and gore, there's no bad language, you don't get to see the body. I mean, that's not described, it's not even in the scenes, I don't think. Yeah. And but there's no cupcakes, cookies or cats, right. Although there is a cat in one scene that has a walk-on part, but that's about it really. But there's quite a lot of humor in it, so it is, although it could be described as Western. I don't really think it is a Western, although it's set in a 1880s Western town. And there are some elements to Western in there, but it's mainly just it could be set anywhere really. It could have been set in an English village really, although that wouldn't have suited the backstory of the protagonist.
Right. So let's talk about the story itself. What's it generally about?
Well, as I say, it's a murder mystery. Fuchs, who's the protagonist, gets involved to help out some friends who have been accused of murder, and he goes to investigate, and it's really just about it. It seems like it's a clear-cut case of the person was killed in a fire. Mm-hmm. But when he starts to look, he picks up some subtle clues that sort of flags to him that it wasn't quite as straightforward as he thought, and then he sort of follows the clues through, and obviously it's not so. I don't want to say too much more.
Right, you can't give it away. So Florian Fuchs is a very interesting character. First of all, he has an interesting name, and his backstory, he's a criminal who's turned good, and now he has a wife, and he's trying to be a good guy. And so all the way through, obviously I've read the story, so all the way through, there's this lovely tension in there between him trying to be a different person and be a good man, and his buddies show up in the opening scene, which is a great opening scene because it's very visual. You can smell them, like you can just figure you could just feel the grime on them when they come, and they wake him up in his bed, and his wife is there. And so it starts off right away showing the Fuchs in conflict in his ordinary life. So even before the main story starts, I really enjoyed the opening because it's so his backstory is there quick. It's not described in too long a fashion. It's just, here's who the guys, here's where they're from. And so already, he's a criminal trying to be good. His wife is right there. Now what's going to happen? And so it starts out really quickly. I totally agree. It fits the cozy murder mystery scene. And also for the Western, it's set there, but I wouldn't categorize it as a Western. It's a murder mystery with really interesting characters, and with the ongoing conflict of past versus present behavior. Now, how did you come up with the name Florian Fuchs? It's very unique.
Yeah. I quite like this the first name Florian, but I wanted it to be something alliterative. So I wanted something to begin with F's. So I thought, like you, I'll look for something unique and one that's something distinctive. So I googled around a little bit, like you do. And in my head, his backstory is that his father is from England and from the south coast. And I looked at names specific to Dorset on the south coast of England, and I came up with, and I found Fuchs, and I thought that just fits right. So
and it does. Now, this is the first in a series, so it's really important to pick the name you like at the beginning, because it's his name now for a long time, right? So on names, I know when you were first writing your book, you had a different name for the book.
Yes.
And by the time it was published, you've got the new name. So can you talk about that a little bit and how that came about?
Well, the working title, as I say, was originally called "Need More String," and that was a line that Fuchs actually says about halfway through the book. But that didn't really work for the theme of the book, because obviously it's a murder mystery, and so I wanted something that sort of alluded to mystery. And the Enigmatic Door is like secretive, and so that seemed to fit.
Yep. And I think so the next book that you're currently writing is called The Elusive Key, and I like your strategy for naming, because it's quite related to the story.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's a conscious effort. The object is sort of fundamental to the story, and the one that I'm about to start now is also is called at the moment it's called the Embezzlement Ledger. So that's that continues the theme.
Okay, so let's talk about process a little bit then. So you've done book one.
Yeah.
You're now currently in the editing process with The Elusive Key. Yes. So while that's happening, are you already writing the third book?
I've got the plot, the original plot mapped out, and I've written about 8,000 words, but they're not really good words. They're just something to get down on paper, really, or computer, if you like. So they probably won't stay there, and the plot may change as I start writing in earnest.
Right. So it sounds like you've come up with an idea based on the ledger.
Yeah.
And so you kind of know what the crime is, and you're going to work Fuchs all the way through that. Is that how you're doing?
That's correct. Yeah.
Nice. So when you get your edit back for The Elusive Key, will you stop working on book 3 and just focus on book 2 and then finish that, get it out and published, and go back? Is that how you work?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I can't focus on on more than one at a time, because I get quite involved in it, and I just want to carry on there, and I don't want to be distracted with something else. So
right. Excellent. So I want to talk a little bit about Fictionary Storyteller, of course, because you edited your book in Fictionary. Can you talk a little bit about how that worked for you, and what was the big thing that it made you change or focus on in your story?
Well, I discovered Fictionary when I was writing the Enigmatic Door, and I understood what the purpose of it was for, i.e. to try and guide you into writing little bits in the scene that relate to the 38 elements, as you say. And obviously, when I was writing the Enigmatic Door, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really understand an awful lot. I mean, I would still hold my hand up and say I probably don't understand all of it. But certainly when I was looking at the Elusive Key, I understood a lot better, and I felt that I could use the elements more appropriately in the scenes. So actually, when I was writing the Elusive Key, I actually found it really helpful to have that as almost like a checklist. I think. I mean, it's not relevant to have every single element in every single scene, but it's a good checklist to see where you can improve. I think where you can improve the scene. So I found that really useful. Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, I'm currently working on your second book, The Elusive Key, and I want to talk a little bit about entry hooks and exit hooks, because that seems to be something that really flows in the second book. It's exciting, and you go seeing, you're doing exactly what you meant to do there with entry and exit hooks. So do you feel that's something that, as you go, when you're working through Fictionary, are you picking up these things so when you're writing, it's helping you write your next piece?
Yes, I do. I mean, certainly with the entrance and exit hooks, that was something I particularly worked really hard on, especially when I wanted to get to the end of a chapter, and I felt, well, I really need to have not necessarily a cliffhanger, because that's not always appropriate to have it, but something that will make the reader turn the page. So hopefully that's what I've done. So yes, so I did read through it quite a lot myself, just to see whether it flowed.
Yeah.
So hopefully I've done a better job than I would have done previously.
Excellent. And you did. I can say yes, you did. I do like to buy hard copies of the books of people who've edited their books in Fictionary, and I have a whole bookshelf back here of books that it's just really fun for me, and I see all the different types of books that are coming out, and I read many genres now, because people write in all kinds of genres. So when you first got your printed copy, when it arrived in the mail, tell me how that moment went and how it felt.
Oh, well, it was quite pleasing, I would say. I was quite excited about it, and see actually what it looked like as a proper book, that was sit on the bookshelf, and I can see my name up there and thinking, oh, that's me, even though it's not my name, but that's me. And I showed it to my husband, and he said, oh, it's got quite a weight to it, and he read the blurb, and he said, oh, it really flows quite well. He said, you've done a good job on the blurb at the back. So I was quite pleased with that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So now you mentioned there you have different names. You have a pen name. Do you want to talk a little bit about why choosing a pen name as opposed to your own name?
My own name, which is obviously my married name, it's quite long, and I didn't think it was quite really appropriate to write in. I wanted something that I wanted something different, and I flirted with my maiden name, and that didn't seem right either. And I'm not really sure that this one does, but I needed something, and I just plucked it out of the air, really.
Oh, terrific.
So
yeah, we sort of have. I don't know what the percentage is, but we have writers who do both, who have a pen name and have their real life name, and then I get confused between the two, and I talk to them in both names, because I start to think of them as their pen name when I spend a lot of time with their book, and then so I'm glad it's the same first name, so at least I've got your first name, and I'm not remembering which one is your first name and which one is your pen name. Makes it harder.
No, I thought that would be too hard, and I thought that's fine.
Yeah, so just back on the editing stuff a little bit, we talked about, so your process up to using Fictionary. What did you do after you exported from Fictionary? What was your next step?
When I got the edit back, I obviously made all the changes that I thought were appropriate. And then I did a little bit tipping around as well. And then when I decided I had enough of that, I then downloaded it, and I'd already rounded up some beta readers, so it went to them.
Okay.
And when I got their reports back, I made all the changes, and then after that it went to copy editing. And the same, that took a few weeks, and then when it came back, I made all the changes, and then at that point I downloaded it again onto my Kindle and read through it again, and I probably made some more changes along the way, and then I thought, no, I had to reach a point where it was fit, as far as I was concerned, it's finished. Otherwise, I would have gone on for years. So. And I knew I wanted to publish in October. So I thought, well, by the time I get to September, I need to have finished it. And then I've got to do the formatting and all the other things you have to do. And, it gives me a month to get it all sorted. So.
Terrific. So that's great. And then what about formatting? How did you do that?
I did it myself.
Okay.
And there's quite a lot of, in Word. And there's quite a lot of videos out there. And actually, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
Once I understood what I was supposed to be what I was trying to do, what I was trying to achieve, then I found it quite easy. And so I'm thinking, I keep reading all these horror stories on some of these webs, and it said, "Oh, we don't know how to do this." And I'm thinking, but it's actually quite easy. Well, I found it quite easy. Maybe that's just my background, but
the book itself, it looks very professional. It's clearly formatted well. And then what about the cover? How'd you come up with that? And who did the cover?
I did the cover in Canva.
No.
I just got the vector. The vector of the door is something that I purchased, which wasn't very, very, and so I just did it in Canva.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well done. So, huh. Well, good for Canva. That's a good little ad for Canva now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Great.
Yeah. And it's only on their free program, so.
Oh, nice. Because the cover it really suits the story, and it suits the genre. So that's amazing. I was going to give kudos to your cover designer, but I guess that's you.
It's me. So thank you.
So, how many books do you think you're going to do in the Florian Fuchs series?
Well, I've got four in, because the fourth one was actually the first one I actually wrote. So I've actually got a first draft of that. Oh. Although looking at it, it's far too long, and there'll probably be some things that there's some things that I will cut out of it, but there are also things that are probably going to change when I get there. At the moment, I'm sort of leading into book 3 at the moment, and maybe what happens at the end of book 3 might predicate some changes in book 4, which, as I say, is already there. But
right. Perfect. Okay.
I don't think my husband would tolerate me writing any more than 4. So,
you never know. Life just kind of goes on, and if you are traveling together,
we'll see.
Time to sit down and write and all that stuff. So, just tell us a little bit about what the Elusive Key is about, because that will be the next book out.
Well. In the last scene of the Enigmatic Door, Fuchs noticed a letter from his old partner, which he hadn't heard from for a while, and then it kind of gets forgotten about because of other things. But the Elusive Key picks up on that in the first scene,
nice.
Albeit a year later.
Yeah,
and that sets him off on this. But this time he goes to Boston. So where he has to investigate a murder, but also something that's going on with his partner as well, and finding out why he left and all that good stuff. And there's quite a lot of backstory, or B story, if you like, surrounding his partner in Boston that he has to find out about as well. So.
Yeah, and it's also the tension all the way through is good, because now Fuchs, who is a small town man, is in Boston and has to deal with what it's like to be in a big city and be around people who have a lot of money and live in kind of mansion type places, and so he's out of his element, and it's quite funny. some of it
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
so, I'm looking forward to seeing that one published too. So just to wind up, let's talk about where people can find more about you and about your books.
Okay. I do have a website. It's shirleyarnham.com, which talks about foreign folks, and it's also got the blurb of all my books, including the one that I'm about to start writing, and the covers on there. In terms of where you can buy my book, I'm obviously on Amazon, so I've got you can buy the ebook and the paperback from there. But if you pick up the ISBN, you can buy it in any bookstore. So.
Right, perfect. And that's great. And so what we'll do with the video, the links will be down the bottom to Shirley's website and her buy links to her books. So if you like a cozy mystery, this is a good one to buy. And if you do read it, please leave a review, because it's very important to all of us as authors, just to get a little bit of visibility there. So thank you, Shirley. It was a real pleasure talking to you today about your book, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next one.
Thank you.